Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to
What up, y'all? This Tone Talks in the building. Getting everything fleshed in. We're going to be having a discussion today. We're looking forward to having a powerful discussion around everything that's happened this week. Man, it's been a lot of stuff. Excuse my voice. I'm a little sick today. You know how that goes. You know I'm going to have somebody special for y'all today. That's the wonderful Yvette Carnell. Yvette, are you there with me?
I'm here.
Yeah, man. So look, a lot of stuff has happened this week. We going to have the discussion. The title of the show is How White Inheritance is Required in America and It's Squeezing Black America. Been a lot of new news stories that just came out that's telling us that America is changing. Again, this is Tone Talks. We having a discussion. We're going to be in here tonight. We're going to be talking about how wealth has changed. We're going to talk a little bit about Coates' essay, about that case for reparations. We're going to talk about Biden. Y'all heard about what Biden said. We didn't get none of that during Obama's tenure. But we're gonna get into it. Yvette, you want to say hello to the audience?
What's up, Breaking Brown and Tone Talks family? Happy Friday.
Man, excuse me for my voice. You know, I got a little sick. It's been raining here in Los Angeles, but I'm gonna do the show anyway. I want to make sure that I get to y'all because I know a lot of people look forward to these discussions. These discussions are how you guys get a chance to hear about not just ADOS life, not just Black life, about America and what America is doing, so you can prepare yourself. So I'm gonna just start off by doing something that I don't normally do. I'm gonna read the questions in a second, but I want to start off just telling you guys about Dr. Martin Luther King and him saying that we're coming to get our check. You know, Dr. King said some powerful words before his death about coming to get the check. He essentially said our government was giving away millions of acres of land. Not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order to mechanize their farms. Not only that, today these people are receiving millions of dollars not to farm. And they are the very people telling the black man he needs to lift himself up by his own bootstraps. That is what we're faced with. This is reality. Now, when we come to Washington, this campaign, we're coming to get our check. If ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, is much aligned with that concept, we're trying to make sure that Black agenda items, that particularly reparation, is not only talked about as a fringe issue, but brought to the middle of the discussion. We're going to have it today. So let's get into the questions. You know, how white inheritance is required in America. This is a crazy, crazy time. If you ain't inheriting $150,000, $200,000, you in trouble. The numbers ain't right. I don't think everybody understood when I started this thing. Everybody tells me about Coates' essay. I wrote a piece called Rise of Legacy in 2013. And what I said is that legacy will rise, and when it rises, it will make it so that it'll be hard to live without a massive inheritance trunk. We here now. So the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to dig a little bit into Ta-Nehesi Coates' essay, Case for Reparations. I mentioned it last show, but due to a new New York Times article and a lot of people confusing what's going on, we need to talk about it. That's kind of why I brought Yvette in, but we're going to leave her on the show. We're going to have a whole discussion. Next thing we're going to talk about is Joe Biden and his recent statements about he not giving no money for 300 years ago. Okay, Biden, how did Obama choose this man as his VP? How did Black America not learn about this thing? When you look at the stories, it's interesting how only a conservative news site is willing to say it for what it is, which is he's against reparations. Everybody else is trying to change their headline to not be so hard against Biden, but the words are clear. He's not for reparations. He's not for Black people being made whole. He don't feel like that's his responsibility. The next one is the largest wealth transfer in history is upon us, from white boomers to their children. What does that mean for Black life? You know, I got a new article that came out in the newsletter, Yvette Carnell's newsletter, Breaking Brown. It's titled The New 30-something. This is craziness. The last question is America's creating a service economy with an Uber service kind of society. Where will your family fit? Where will your progeny, your lineage, your future fit? Your children, what will they be doing? Will they be dropping off food for people after they go to college? Are they doing that now? Let's have it out. Yvette, I'm gonna let you just jump in straight off. Tell us a little bit about why you did this tweet thread on the Coates essay.
Well, if you go to it the other day, I did a long thread. And what I wanted to really let people know, because I knew it started off with David Brooks, who was a conservative columnist for the New York Times, and basically said he had an about face on reparations, and he mentioned Coates' essay. And I wanted to have everybody to understand one thing. One thing, Coates' essay was in 2014, and the only thing Coates said at the end of that essay was that we should study reparations. And I appreciated the essay for what it was, but you have to understand what it was. The essay was it was an aggregation, good essay, very good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it was an aggregation of facts in terms of, and putting all these facts together in a specific time frame. He spanned all the way from slavery to mass incarceration, which shows that our oppression was an accrued oppression. But what I wanted to show people is that two things. One, the first thing I wanted to show people is this was 5 years ago. The people who have been doing the work for advocacy in terms of this have been ADOS, Yvette, Carnell, Tone Talks. We have been putting meat on the bone in terms of making people understand that we are a specific group with a specific justice claim, with a specific contribution to this country. The second thing I really want people to understand in terms of the Coates essay is the failure in terms of what he tried to do but didn't quite get done, in the sense that it was Coates who sat on the stage with Ocasio-Cortez and didn't challenge her when she tried to shoehorn people of color into, like, reparations. And then it was him before that when he went to visit with Obama, interview Obama, and Obama said, well, it's not going to catch because immigrants are going to get upset. And he didn't say, wait a minute, you got to tell these immigrants, you decided to come here and you don't get to choose which debt you pay and which debt you don't pay. And you benefited most of you benefited, especially people of color, brown people, from the civil rights struggle. That is your payment. You are paying for something that you received come here on the backs of ADOS people anyway. So I want to make sure people understood certain things, because when it's time to get in that room, you don't need Coates in that room. And I'm not being disrespectful, but you had your chance in the room with Obama and you didn't pull it off. So what I'm just trying to make sure people understand is that some people have had their shot. And so, and some people are built for certain things. Coates was built to write that essay, and it's good for us to tie ourselves to that as we lay the foundation for something. But everybody's not built for the same thing. And so we have to understand that, because what Brooks could do as a conservative, you got to say he's a conservative, he's playing a game too, right? So what he can do as a conservative, say, I'm gonna bring Coates back into the room, and everybody has a discussion again. But it's time for talking. It's out. It's time for a reckoning. The time to be having this conversation is done.
Yeah, man. Yvette on fire early on. Look, I got a bit of let me say I agree with everything she said, but I'm going to add, Ta-Nehesi Coates failed us multiple times. I'm just going to say it like it is. That My President is Black piece, that was just propaganda. Obama didn't do the policy to deserve. Coates did not do the work to make this about lineage. Coates did not establish that Obama had no right to speak on reparations because he is not broken to be repaired. Coates allowed Obama, along with AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, to speak about reparations in a way that doesn't make clear that reparations is for ADOS in America. Obama should have got massive pushback in that piece for not understanding the fact, not understanding that he's an outsider. Let me say this straight to you. Let me say this one point. What you got to understand, what you got to see is when Obama goes in for reparations and starts to speak, it's like an Irishman speaking on the Holocaust reparations. They would never let that happen. What's happening right now is that we don't understand ourselves as a group. We just see ourselves as flat black, but nobody else see themselves as flat black. Obama was Kenyan. Obama was white. Kamala is Jamaican. We're not even sure if Jamaican black, but we'll let Jamaican black and Indian. This reparations claim is about being from American chattel slavery into Jim Crow. There were nominal, if any, black immigrants in the U.S. Census in 1960. Less than 1%. And I'm not guessing. You know, Fortune magazine, I did an article with them last year. Look for something to come in the next week or so, hopefully, where we just lay it out. I'm here to have the discussion about reparation is your inheritance, ADOS. If we don't get that, what's going to happen is black people will be locked out. We got 700 people in the box. This Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. Excuse my voice a little bit. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting this whole movement. Everybody that's been pushing this discussion. Don't get tired. They're going to try to throw candidates at us that don't make sense. You know, Coates' essay had its purpose. It got people on the record. It got people like Clyburn to basically be on the record. But they didn't know that ADOS was going to make it real. See, that's 5 years ago. Had there been if this was 6 months after Coates' essay, I'd give it a lot more credit. If Coates had ran around like Gary Webb did, you know, my documentary Freeway Cracking the System was on the Iran-Contra. Gary Webb ran around with this Iran-Contra and that blacks were getting sold drugs. If Coates had done that work, and nobody just heard his beckon that this is $1 trillion debt, this would be different. None of that happened. So now here we are 5 years later, and an explosion happened. Boom. I'm telling you right now, they're not finna take the explosion and tell us that it was lit by another flame. Yvette, tell me about the pluses of what Coates' essay did with getting people on the record.
Well, it put it all. One of the things that it did, like with you know what I discussed in terms of Clyburn, everybody thought. See, the thing is, everybody thought that this was going to just be symbolism because Coates did a very good job of walking up to a line but not crossing it. So he walked up to a line and said, well, we should study H.R. 40. And everybody said, oh, my God, this is a wonderful essay, and he's right, and it's beautiful. And everybody talked about it. In the back of their minds, they're thinking it's fine to talk about it because everybody knows there ain't nobody really trying to pass H.R. 40 anyway. So what happens with ADOS now is you all have gotten on the record and say this is a wonderful, beautiful essay. And now what we're demanding is that you put meat on that bone. But see, you got to understand, I saw The Atlantic retweet the case for reparations on Ta-Nehesi Coates today. Understand that nobody would be retweeting anything or talking about anything if it were not for ADOS doing all this work on YouTube, Twitter, all this work, retweeting us, tweeting other people. They were fighting with Talib Kweli, crazy self, all over the weekend. Like, understand that this is work that we've all been putting in. That's why they even retweeting it at all. Everybody walked away. And let me just say this. Ta-Nehesi Coates is a writer, and I'm not saying I have any expectation of him to be anything other than a writer. But understand, in this moment, we need advocacy for this. That's not a writer's job. And so he was perfectly within his rights to walk away and go to France and start doing speaking. He was perfectly within his rights to do that. But that's not how you bring this to fruition. That's not how you do this push. We've been doing this push, and we have to be very clear about that because they will rope somebody else in the room again whose job it is to be a writer but doesn't know how to be an advocate.
Come on. Shout out to Mike Beasy. Shout out to everybody that's donating in the chat. When I say the chat, I'm talking about YouTube. You can go to Tone Talks and hear this on YouTube or Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. Again, we're in there. We got almost 1,000 people. We're moving towards that. Please use the super chat and also support my channel by Patreon or actually on tonetalks.org. Look, we having it out today. You know, Coates had his purpose. He aggregated a bunch of information and got the Atlantic to publish it. But we here now. And we putting meat on the bones about what it means if you don't get reparations. The scale of what reparations will be. Who receives it? See, telling a group of immigrants that believe that we're all black the same, that we're not all black the same, that'll get you disliked. I'm telling you from data in the 1960 census, the amount of black immigrants from anywhere was nominal at best. It was to the right of the decimal. This is according to the Smithsonian. I'm just telling you that this is the reason why that's important is people like Roland Martin are saying, what about Caribbeans that were here during civil rights? It wasn't any number. The massive boom happens after the Immigration Act of 65, and then the real boom happens after 1980. That's where you get your large population. And largely that's because they got all kind of access points that came from us actually fighting, meaning you could become a nurse all of a sudden, but we couldn't. ADOS couldn't. This is what's going on. We having a discussion, but I want to get into Biden. You know, Biden said some craziness. Joe Biden, the former vice president. You know, he been thinking about running. He been saying maybe I might. We caught him. Let me say not we, but the media caught him, but they afraid to actually say it. I think Yvette had to tweet a conservative paper. She don't support the paper, but nobody else is putting in the title that he's just against reparations because everybody's in bed with each other. It's all this other fluff. But what he is he's against reparations. This is his words. I don't feel responsible for the sins of my father and grandfather. I feel responsible for what the situation is today, for the sins of my own generation. And I'll be damned if I'll be responsible to pay for what happened. This man is 76 years old. So you're not responsible for Jim Crow? Hold on. So you're not responsible for the crime bill that you actually put forth that put so many black men in prison. But you're not responsible for the positioning that you got as a direct result of slavery. This man wants to keep whiteness and leave us black. ADOS isn't having it. Yvette, what's your thoughts on Biden?
Well, one of the things I want to make clear, I think Biden said this a while ago. I think he said it. I can't remember when he said it, but he said it a long time ago. But I want people to keep in mind that that he hasn't. This isn't someone who has changed. Like, I don't think what you see when you see Biden is like the consummate politician, right? He just moves however he needs to move to get whatever vote. Let's think about Biden and the crime bill. He was still on that same page then. And I think when you talk about a reckoning, what you have to do with politicians is say, no, you don't get to do that. Do the crime bill, and still come here and say you want to run for president. You have been disqualified. You have made too many mistakes that have cost ADOS people too much to consider yourself to be qualified for us to vote for you. And since we vote majority Democratic, you might as well just cancel your campaign right now. Now, everybody else, y'all got a chance to go and fix whatever y'all need to fix. We're not voting tomorrow. We're not voting next week. So y'all see which way we coming. Y'all got a chance to go and fix it. Don't tell me that you can't do that. You have plenty of time to go and build reparations and build policies that benefit our community into your thing. But Biden, you have done too much. You have been too much. Well, I wouldn't even say you've been too much. You have been too little. You have been too small of a man to think you're going to run for this moment. It's over for you.
It's over for that set of politics. They better get somebody younger up in there. I don't know if they built them, though. They built everybody wrong for this moment. Everybody is AOC. AOC don't know what she talking about. She don't know what she talking about. Ain't no way that you going to get no Green New Deal and you ain't give us no reparations. We not having that. Y'all better figure this math out. I'm saying to you right now, shout out to Miss Bryant, to Sandra, to Lori, all for the support. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. But what I'm saying to you is that we 20 to 23% of the vote, ADOS, and we coming. Y'all better figure something out about how y'all gonna make us whole. Because we tired of going to prison. We tired of leaving UCLA and Howard and not having enough. We tired of our families not having enough wealth to transfer. We gonna get into it, what they transferring. This is the message. This is the discussion. I think for a lot of people, they don't want to deal with it because they still got Obama picture up. Yvette, what does it mean that Biden said all this? And it happened in the 70s. It was on the record. And Obama made him his VP. The first black president.
It means Obama felt the same way. Like there was no daylight in between how Biden felt and how Obama felt. And you and I were talking about this in the sense of he was raised by his white grandfather, his white grandmother. And when he got in trouble with the Reverend Jeremiah Wright thing, the first thing he said was that my grandmother or my grandparent had said racist things to me. So he grew up. Think about what that means to grow up as a young boy with a Kenyan father and, you identify as black or whatever. Think about what it means to have heard that. To have heard that kind of language about ADOS people in your life all the time. You internalize that. You don't have to be white to internalize white supremacy. Happens all the time.
Shout out to Omar. Thank you so much for the support. Look, this is a straight statement from Biden, and I'll be damned if I feel responsible to pay what happened 300 years ago. We can't. I don't know if he got to get on TV and cry like R. Kelly. He got to apologize. I don't know. I don't know if he can come back from this for us as a group. I ain't saying we gonna sit out, but I am saying that y'all going down the wrong road if y'all think that we gonna vote for this man as it stands. And I'm saying this to you, not as a threat, but as a promise, that if the Democrats, from Nancy Pelosi to Clyburn, don't get their stuff together, they gonna hear about it from ADOS. We got the ADOS conference coming up October 4th. October 4th and 5th in Louisville. Thank you so much to Simmons College, the last HBCU, for making this possible. Yvette, how do you think black people will vote if they try to? Because I believe what they're going to try to do. Look, Yvette, I think Kamala going to struggle a little bit. They're going to try to throw her on as the VP for Biden, and they're going to try to run a reverse Obama 2.0 ticket. I'm not going for that. Again, y'all, I'm a little sick, so excuse my voice. But how do you think this all goes down if Biden? What do we do if Biden actually ends up being the parties?
I don't even think that's possible at this point. I think even in terms of the white left, the energy with them is with Bernie, right? I just don't see Biden, this establishment candidate. I know that's what the center wants, but the energy isn't with the center right now. Everybody knows something needs to change, and so the left is pulling this thing. So the energy isn't even with Biden right now. Like I think. I mean, it's possible in the sense of the establishment gets to work on some stuff that they supposed to ain't really tinker and work with. So it's still necessarily possible. But I think ADOS people have to let everybody know in no uncertain terms, we're not doing this empty voting for the sake of, like Van Jones said, to get rid of Trump. You have to give us something to vote for. We are wanting something to vote for. Reparations is necessary, but you haven't even come forward with specific policies for us. Nobody's going to do what somebody called on my show and called it charity politics anymore. We're not giving away stuff and handing out stuff. We ain't got nothing to hand out. You have to come to the table. And it's a perfectly reasonable expectation and request. And I think they're going to come with something. The question we have to ask ourselves is we have to assess it quickly and figure out with the something that they're coming with, is it going to be enough, or is it going to be that thing that my brother's keeper, like Obama, some charity stuff that doesn't really have any teeth. So now we have to look at what's coming and make an assessment of what that is that's coming down the pipe. Because everybody's now trying to give us something that's disguised as reparations that's not reparations. So we have to assess it real quick. No, Kamala, the LIFT Act ain't reparations. No, Bernie, universal politics is not reparations. It is not even a specific policy to address our specific needs. So we got to look at it real quick and keep throwing it away. They'll come back to the table. They can't win without us.
Yeah, man. Again, we having the discussion. Black America is about to be put under pressure. Again, 323-230-4610. I'm going to open up the lines, but we're going to keep talking. Yvette, some good articles came out this week. One of them was in your newsletter. Support Yvette's newsletter. Go to breakitbrown.com. She does it every Sunday, aggregates these articles.
You go to one of my recent YouTube videos, and I always put the newsletter link in the summary. So.
Yeah. So look, we got the largest wealth transfer in history that's upon us, from white boomers to their children. I think the number was $68 trillion. Here's how to prepare. This is an article from CNBC. Here's how to prepare your heirs for the $68 trillion in wealth transfer. Baby boomers are set to pass their children up, and they might as well say white baby boomers, are set to pass their children a mind-boggling $68 trillion. The biggest generational wealth transfer ever. See, what's happening is because we didn't get no inheritance and we were locked out of wealth and we were made into contagions of wealth, we don't have nothing to transfer, or a very, very small number of families. And then you get black people who are in the top 2% of black people, overrepresented in companies and on TV, in magazines that say, well, some black people have something to transfer. No. Nominal amounts. Do you understand? We're talking the top 30% of white people here, transferring anywhere from $150,000 to millions, sometimes billions. I don't think we all get it. I don't think we all understand the consequence. See, when you have $68 trillion in wealth transferred, everything gets more expensive and you don't have the money to pay for it. Let me take the first caller of the night. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine, caller. What's up, fam?
This is Hakeem Abdallah calling from Philadelphia. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. We talking wealth transfers right now. What, you got anything to speak on it?
Yeah, I want. This is in regards to reparations. I think it would be a good idea to bring the idea to Trump, because I think if we limit it to just the presidential candidates, it might just limit like what we want just to 2020.
Bro, let me tell you something. I'm gonna let Yvette chime in. I'm not trying to cut you off. I think sometimes we use magic instead of politics. Trump is a small government guy. He just passed the largest, most regressive tax reform in the history of the nation. In order to pay for reparations, you need big government. This is a big government policy. So this idea of this other, we've created that as an alternative for the Democrats. Our best answer here is to make the Democrats responsible not only for us voting for them this time, for us voting for them every time in the last 5 elections. That's the answer. Voting for Trump is look, he's going to give you opportunity zones and nothing else.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I wasn't saying to vote for Trump. I'm agnostic when it comes to politics. I'm not talking about voting for Trump. I'm saying our case is relevant regardless of who's in office. So shouldn't we bring it to everyone so that no matter who's in office, it's a relevant case?
You have to understand when their politics don't line up with reparations as well, though. You have to understand when they're based.
It's not really. It's a historical fact. So regardless of Democrat,
no, they need the money to pay for it, though, sir. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Yvette. You want Yvette
to the same coffers to pay for it?
No, they don't. See, I don't think you understand what the tax reform that just did changed in terms of America's coffers and what it signals. No. This is a shift where they don't have enough to pay for basic programs going forward. They're going to not have enough for some Section 8 and different. We covered this over the last few years. I'm coming back to the core concept. Black people think, oh, I can be conservative, but not understand what conservatives actually stand for, which is going against everything you need. Yvette, you want to chime in?
There was a great article about how big the deficit is now, thanks to all those tax cuts. So what happens now is that there is no money. There's no money for even basic government, much less reparations through Trump by what he's doing. Not only that, he doesn't believe in it. And Trump is in the midst of like a humongous scandal that could take his whole presidency out. Like there is no movement. And what Antonio says is true too. We vote overwhelmingly for Democrats. That's an exchange. Like the reason you all have any chance of power is because we consistently vote Democratic. Now is your turn to pay us back.
Let me say this, caller. I'm gonna let you go because I got a lot of phone calls.
Can I make one more point, real quick?
Go ahead.
Real quick. I just want to say that regardless of it's Democrat or Republican, the funds we get from reparations when they do happen, they're not going to come from an existing budget. You said there's no money left. I'm not talking about the existing budget. They're going to have to expand that budget drastically to pay us reparations, regardless of who's in office.
No, but what I'm saying to you is that he's already sick. We're talking in circles. You think
a small government president is going to signal for some future big bust, for some future multi-trillion dollar reparations bill? It's not going to happen.
That has a base. Caller. I don't want to argue back and forth, but I'm saying to you right now, we got to be surgical. Everybody's already trying to attach this movement to conservatives. This is not a movement that's attached to conservatives. I'm saying, hold on. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to leave you on the line, but I want to let you go. But what I'm saying to you is that right now, we're going after the Democrats. That is what ADOS is doing. We're doing that very. Caller, I'm gonna let you go. We'll just have to talk another time. Thank you so much. Look, every attempt is gonna be to cast this whole agenda as being xenophobic, being connected to conservatives. You got people that don't understand politics talking politics. I'm not saying I'm some super expert, but if you don't understand the basics that this group that Trump got into office with don't believe that you should be made whole. I'm talking about his base. In addition, he just passed the most regressive tax reform in the history of the nation. How do you think that you're going to create him as the alternative? Not to mention, as Yvette said, he's in the middle of scandal. We don't need Trump to be our savior. We need the Democrats to do what we've been voting for them to do for generations. This is not a one-time thing. Yvette, you want to chime in?
No, but I just don't think. Like, this is not even just a small government. These Republicans now that we see, they're not even like just small government Republicans. We used to have, you used to have Republicans who would at least have conversations and be reasonable. Now you have like this almost kind of Tea Party faction coupled with like Trump who will sign on to the most regressive kind of tax cuts. We're in a very different territory, and I don't think, it's one thing when we didn't know what Trump was going to do. He was from New York. Maybe he was more liberal. on day one, maybe I could see if the caller had said then we should have talked to him. Yeah, because you don't know what he's going to do. If this was day one, I said day one, we talked to everybody. You know who Trump is now. Now we have a clear vision of who he is, what he's going to do, and how. There's no room for daylight there now.
See, and this is part of what we're seeing goes right to the discussion we're having today about wealth transfers and everything else. Black people just be making up fantasies. Like it don't matter, all you need is $30,000 to retire. All we gonna do, let's just talk to the Republicans, at least see where they stand. They told you where they stand when they passed that reform. They want to give all the money to the rich. So now you think that they're gonna go back on their tax reform to give you reparations? What you need to do is go back and read some stuff about how money flows. Read about how agendas get passed. You need to understand that we are here. So you want to mess up being here. See, and that's why I say it's surgical. We got all the Democratic candidates talking about reparations. And you want to say, let's go talk to Trump to create more pressure? That's why, Yvette, they don't get it. We here now. We not playing games. I tweeted. Let me say this. Ann Coulter did some weird tweet about DOAS. I tweeted that woman, said this is black led. It's ADOS. Literally telling her and drawing a boundary line that that's the name of our group. From that tweet, all these people came out and said we love Ann Coulter. I don't know Ann Coulter, and that's the only tweet I've ever corresponded back and forth with her on. And that's the only one I really plan on corresponding back and forth with her on. What I'm saying to you is Trump is not the savior. What I'm saying to you is that black conservatism is not the savior. Black America has hardly any wealth in this country. Bottom half of the race is worth less than $1. We're not trying to conserve America. We're trying to change and transform it so that black folks all across this country can live better than they are today. A lot of people was talking to Yvette about a flag and why we can't get our own flag, and we got our flag. It's the American flag. Understand that maybe 10% of black America has a passport. Understand that very nominal, and probably half of that might be immigrants. Most black people will not leave the country. A large chunk won't even leave their state. What I'm telling you is ADOS gives them a sense of identity where they own where they live so that they make where they live better. This otherness, this Pan-Africanism, this other place, Africa is a continent, not a country. Oh, I know that, but you keep talking about it like a country, like there's the African airport. I'm here to let you guys know that there's a plan here, and we not playing. So look, let's keep this going. What I want to do is keep the discussion going. There's an article that came out right after the $68 trillion in wealth transfer. It was in the New York Times. The new 30-something. Understand that I'm 30-something. This article talked about something that I've been saying for decades. My mama and my daddy had me at 16. So I saw this real early. I was at UCLA, and these weren't grown people. Like, they weren't like 18 like me. Like when I went, I got dropped off. They was like baby kids. Your mom and your daddy carry your cookies. And it went all the way to when I was taking the bar. People getting dropped off by their mama to take the bar. Now you 23 years old. So what's happened now is that people don't grow up anymore. You basically are attached at the hip with your mama and daddy, living with them or sharing a car with them. Might as well just say sharing everything with them. That's what's going on now. That's what wealth calcification has done. So the new 30-something is something where we just kind of cohabitate in life. Even if I have another house, you put down the down payment on my house. So what happens to black folks that don't have a loophole, a Clyburn, a James Clyburn? We get locked out. You can't really get a stable family. You can't really put down $50,000 on a house. That's what's going on. The new 30-something is something where your parents need to help you raise your kid because you ain't got enough for daycare. Look here. This is what's going on right now. Is America's transforming. America's changing. And as it changes, what starts to happen is that wealth is locking up. And I don't think we understand what that means for us if we don't have no wealth. Reparations is our last call. So essentially what's happening now is that if we don't answer that call, we got it to the table now. Now we got to make sure that they start cooking. We brought it to the table. Yvette, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, let me just. Can I just address the flag thing really quick?
Go ahead.
I think people need to really start having a conversation with themselves. I mean, everybody want to have a conversation with everybody else, but have a conversation with yourself first. The flag, you cannot. You got to stop doing this reactionary stuff and just doing that because you're mad at how this country has treated you. We all are. We're all upset about how we've been treated and how we've been made into an underclass and a bottom caste in this country. That doesn't mean you have another country to go to. That doesn't mean that you're a part of another country. That doesn't mean if you create a flag, it's going to do something for you. That flag that you create will have no wealth, have no resources, have no military, have no land. It'll be just something to boost your self-esteem. We are not looking for self-esteem boosters. We are looking for real progress in the richest country in the world. So I think everybody has to stop building playhouses. Everybody just got to stop doing stuff that makes them feel good and start doing real politics. It's not real politics to tell me on Twitter, in real life, or anywhere else, it ain't my flag. You a lie, it is. What other flag you got? You gonna expatriate? You going to a new country to live? Most of us don't even have passports. So if you're not going nowhere, that is your flag. I don't care how you feel about it. Your feelings are not my concern. Your politics are my concern.
Thank you so much, Juliana, for the support. Let me say this. Everybody in the chat, look, it's not a two-party system for black folk. For black folk, you see all the little women that was Trump's, they was in the House or they was Trump advisors, and they gone and they complaining on CNN. All of a sudden, we got a one-party system for black folks. The problem is that we don't have more parties. We need independent parties. We need more parties. But Republicans basically are done for us. That's not the answer for what we're asking for. We're asking to transform and change America. See, because the Democrats went left, what happens is that we can ride that. Now, I don't see reparations as a left issue, personally. But what allows you to discuss it is actually because the Dems have been pulled left. But what I'm saying to you is to believe that you're going to somehow inch your way. See, this is this fence straddling. We not fence straddling here in ADOS. A lot of people work in corporate environments and their whole day is with all white folks. So they think if you just smile with white folks enough, they going to see that you're a good one and help you out. That's not what's going to happen with this. This is transformative. What I'm saying to you is that I believe that as it sits, we have one party as the real answer. Should it be that way? No. Bernie maybe should have ran independent, and hopefully, I don't know if he decided yet. Maybe we should put pressure on him. But what I'm saying to you is that this other lane that you're creating, go study politics and really understand what small government does when you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar addition to the budget. And we're not talking about just small government. We're talking about a transformative set of taxes where they ran a deficit in the first quarter like we haven't seen in a long, long time. I'm saying to you that we need more parties. Yvette, you said that before. You want to speak to the more parties thing?
Sure. People asking for the call-in number too. For me, I've always felt that like this sort of duopoly has been problematic because it doesn't reflect how Americans feel, and it narrows the ideological spectrum through which we get to like actualize our politics. So I've always thought that that the two-party system was a problem, But we are here, and we vote overwhelmingly for Democrats. So, I don't see why we would be like, we vote for y'all, but we're going to go over here and ask these people who don't like to pay money for nothing. They don't even want to pay money for roads. We got bridges falling down. They don't want to pay money for nothing, but we're going to just ask them too, and we're just going to ask
for trillions of dollars.
Sounds like smart too.
For trillions of dollars. Look, look here. Look, the call-in is 323-230-4610. Call in, support the show. We having the discussion. Another article came out, and it was entitled "The Servant Economy," and what it talked about is how Uber and Grubhub and all these delivery services, how they just rose up, and the new tax reform, it incentivizes you doing one of these weird jobs by giving you some kind of tax break. I just read, but none of these are real stable community building jobs. Let me take another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Dale. I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hey, how you doing? What's your thoughts on this?
My name is Dale, and I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, give me your take on everything.
Okay, well, I have my family. Basically all of us are just in disarray. I have student loan debt. I went to college. My other siblings, they couldn't even afford to go. My brother, he went to college. He couldn't afford to finish. Our parents passed away. They didn't have any inheritance to leave us. They tried to leave us stuff, but it was just all sucked away. So, we really all know what you're talking about. Took me a while to get my family on board, but now they're starting to see we've been locked out. There's people acting like all this stuff is new. We've been locked out since forever. It's really ridiculous. And my brother, he receives disability now. He drives for Uber, and he has another job that he works, and he receives his disability.
That's what they want to do.
For him to,
That's what they're trying to do. Look, Tom Perez, who's the head of the DNC, is responsible for a lot of this. He was the head of labor under Obama. See, they could have shut all this down, but what happened was they didn't have enough jobs. So we just going to make pieces of jobs. So what they did is they made the 1099, which is for real contractors, into a loophole so people who are actually employing people don't have to fully employ them. They can just kind of employ them. What do I mean? You don't give them no health care. You give them no recourse in terms of protections. They can't get unemployment if you let them go. So basically, you just use them up and squeeze them and throw them away. That's what the new system did that was created under your first black president, under Tom Perez as the labor secretary. It created a new system where we have a servant economy. What do you think is going to happen to you and your kids as we go forward? You don't think that we're going to be a servant class? See, that's why this is important. Repositioning American descendants of slavery that built this country from the bottom to the top. We not trying to be here working and driving and dropping people off and getting screamed at. We already done been through that. Last thing you want to say to the audience? I got to take another call.
You're absolutely right. Me and my husband, we got together and we thought we was going to have this beautiful family, but we realized we have a family, like Yvette was saying, why she doesn't have kids. We can't really afford to raise these kids. We can't.
What do you mean by
we're
that?
Scrambling, trying to figure out what we're going to do. Maybe we can have a property here or there for them. Each one will get like a little property or something. We're talking to grandparents about this. It's ridiculous.
Can you flesh that out? What do you mean by you can't afford them?
For instance, we have a 23-year-old daughter. She went to Job Corps, and I don't know if a lot of people know this. If you go to Job Corps and you do well and your income is a certain way, they'll pay for you to go to community college. My husband is a disabled vet, so she qualifies for. See how you have to have these little things and have to come all together? You're trying to patch, and it's ridiculous.
That's not, and understand that's not what white America's doing. That's not when you look at that wealth transfer. Caller, thank you so much for calling. I want to try to get one more call in.
Okay, thanks.
Look here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Seattle.
What's your take on everything?
I got to tell you, brother, I work in the finance industry, and as far as I know, there ain't nobody that has any kind of money of any kind of significance that can get anything done without having any wealth transfer. So I work with like very high net worth people, and literally,
what's a wealth transfer?
You want to get anything? Say again.
Explain to the audience what a wealth transfer is. What you mean by that?
Wealth transfer, like if you're trying to qualify for a loan, say a $20 million loan, you basically need to be able to have at least 10% of that to put down and be able to get that $20 million. And if you can't do that, sorry, you ain't getting it. So, for people to even want to try to qualify and try to even get anything, you got to have that money from somebody else. And usually that's like somebody's parents, somebody's grandparents.
Come on.
So, if they don't take something where, maybe you get in a car accident and you get some kind of settlement or something like that, it ain't happening.
It ain't happening no more. Listen to this. A quarter of millennial parents receive hourly support from their parents in the form of child care. A quarter. Over half of these millennial parents say they have a generalized anxiety about not earning enough to support themselves and their families. Listen to this too. I want y'all to listen. This is from the new 30-something article, New York Times. more than half of Americans aged 21 to 37 have received some form of financial assistance from a parent since 21. This may include paying bills for a cell phone, 41% of their parents paid for it, groceries and gas, 32%, rent, 40%. This is just general. What I'm saying to you is that this ain't America where you live on work no more. You live on a combination of work with some gifts, with some stay at home and some child care. So what happens to a black folk that are expected to give their parents some money? Give your mama $100 because she a little short this week. What happens is that you end up strained, stressed, and depressed. The only answer for this is to make government give your mama enough where she don't got to ask you for $100. The only answer is to make government make us producers rather than users of product. The only answer is ADOS to get out here and do the politics to make sure that Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, if he want to jump in too, answer to why black folks are still struggling. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. So look, Yvette, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
This is what's going on. I'm gonna try to take one last caller, but I want you to think about something. What do you think that black folks, ADOS people, need to do between now and the conference to start thinking about politics? I'm gonna take one last caller and I'm gonna come to you for the answer. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Aurora, Colorado.
Look, in 1 minute, give me anything you want on the topic we discussed today.
Wow. Okay. Reconstruction got interrupted when we know the history of that. And we also know that without this transformative money, we don't have a chance. This is our survival. We either get reparations or we become extinct. We've got all the young men that they have locked up in these private prisons that they're just ready to exterminate at any time. The numbers say these people are out to wipe us off the planet.
Yep.
So stop equivocating, stop trying to make white people feel comfortable, and just get real about what this is. We are fighting for our survival.
Thank you so much. ADOS, look, this is a family. We all ages, all sexualities, all genders. We a voting block of 33 million people. They better not let us get 1 million of us. They better not let us get 1 million of us because we might have to march on Washington. Hold on. We might have to come down there and get our check personally written out to ADOS. We'll take it in a big form or a little form. I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much for calling in, caller.
Hey, I will see y'all in October.
I'll see you there, too.
See you there.
Yvette, give me your take on what I just asked you as we close out.
Well, I think everybody needs to get this squarely in their mind. There is no, like the other caller said, well, we're just gonna ask the Republicans. Well, we're not gonna see the thing that's been happening to us is, well, it can't happen this year. Maybe in 4 years, everything is too urgent. I remember when they were telling me, well, it was Mitt Romney. We can't, we just got to get Obama reelected. We can't talk about that right now. He going to hook us up in the second term. We can't deal with that right now. We got to vote for Clinton. He's an honorary black man. At a certain point, and this is that point.
Come on.
This is that point where you have to understand it's now or never, baby, because not they're going to make us third world people in our own country, and that's what we're pivoting to. This is the moment to stop that transition. So I need everybody to get clear on that. There is no other moment. There is no other time. There is no other, well, let's just get Trump out of there. No. Trump, no, y'all, he's white people's problem. Y'all did all that. Y'all created all these little monsters, these multimillionaire and billionaires. Y'all deal with all that. We need to be made whole. We've been living like trash and garbage in the country that we built. This is our time to get our politics right.
I have to agree, Yvette. You know, Yvette, let me say this. ADOS been putting in work on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I just want to shout all y'all out and say, you know, no disrespect to Ta-Nehesi Coates in the Atlantic for what they did 4 or 5 years ago, but this is our moment. And what I did a tweet, and I just want to say this. This is the tweet I put out. There are positives to pull from the case for reparations, which is Coates' piece. But this moment is ADOS, hashtag ADOS. It's founders, it's supporters, and families time to celebrate. From New York Times to Washington Post, everybody needs to recognize it is ADOS demanding reparations for American descendants of slavery. The reason why that's important is because we doing the work. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 3 days a week for 3 hours that we talking, me and Yvette, that you are listening. Everybody else might be doing something else at the bar or at the game or in another country. We here doing the work. And that work is going to pay off. You already see with literally only black dollars from the YouTube channel, me and Yvette and you guys have tabled reparations.
Yep.
Celebrate that. We haven't talked about reparations in generations, in 100 years this way. They don't even know what to do other than let's have Pelosi come out and she gonna say she for it. And then we gonna have James Clyburn come out and say it's impossible. Look, no disrespect to the brothers like Charlemagne that are from South Carolina. But I'm saying to you, I need brothers that are more understanding of race than what I'm seeing. Look, somebody put up a video of these tours of plantations in South Carolina. I don't understand how a black man comes out of that place and says some of the stuff I've heard from Clyburn or I've heard from Charlemagne about race. I don't understand that. They said that in the plantation tours that go on today, they still got the descendants of the slaves working at the plantation tour. This is the moment to recognize that we were never made whole, that we were never made free, and that economics will free us all. I want to say thank you to Yvette Carnell, Breaking Brown. You can find her at 9:30 Eastern on YouTube. Last thing you want to say to the audience?
No, I just want to tell the family to keep doing what we've been doing. We've been pushing this on Twitter and everywhere else, and it just lets you know. It lets you know that we have been a sleeping giant for quite some time. And once we wake up, the American political system is in trouble. Like, we are waking up, and that's what should have been happening a long time ago.
I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. This is Tone Talks. We'll be here next Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We having a discussion. We building. Look for an article to come out soon. I'm working on it with the editors. We going to lay out what reparations is, but it don't stop there. First step is for you to understand your family built this place. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Tone Talks.